Okay, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. We're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be reacting to the 10 cheapest cars, the top 10 cheapest new cars available in 2022 in the United States. And we are on the Car and Driver website. They've kind of gathered the 10 cheapest cars for us in this little list done by Austin Irvin. This was written in February 26th of 2022, so pretty recently, just last month. And this article starts out by saying, last summer, the average price for a new car was $40,000. But get this, in December 2021, that number jumped up to $47,000. Man, that is no joke. That is something else. I think the overall automotive debt in this country is around $1.5 trillion. I think that's the amount of open car loans in the United States. I'm pretty sure that probably jumped up during this pandemic. This is probably with husband and wife dual incomes. That's why they're able to probably afford that much car, because you also have to buy a house too, right? Or at least rent somewhere. So that's kind of the only way people can afford that. So most people, either your credit is jacked up or you simply can't afford that much money. You have to look at these 20K-ish cars, and we're going to skip over these first three cars, this Sentra, the Soul, and this Venue, not because they're bad cars, but because they're kind of over 20 grand. We'll come back to those cars though in a little bit. So the first car on the list technically is the Subaru Impreza at $19,790. This is the most affordable car that you can get, new car that you can get with all-wheel drive. So that's pretty powerful right there. So if you live up north and you have to have all-wheel drive, this is going to be your cheapest option for the base model. 152 horsepower, does about 31 mpg on the highway, which isn't super great, but that is a quality automobile. That's pretty good for the price. And the fact that it's all-wheel drive makes it pretty excellent as well. You can see the warranty information here. That's the beauty of a new car. I mean, used car prices are absolutely nuts right now. That's one thing, but also if you do buy a used car that's under $20,000 nowadays, it's probably some turd with 200,000 miles on it or 150K miles on it. So you're just adopting other people's problems with no warranty coverage. This, you're getting a brand new car, 0 mileage, slow as a turd, but it's brand new with the warranty. There's no mishaps. That's the main thing. I feel like most people shopping in this class of vehicle can't afford even one single repair. If that comes up, that can legitimately bankrupt somebody shopping in this price range of vehicle. Because there are people that ask me like, oh bro, I can get like a new, sorry, not a new, they can get a used S-Class for 10 grand. Should I do it, bro? Like, is that a good buy, you think? Are they reliable? Man, that when I hear that, I just feel so bad because they have no idea what they're signing up for. Some old saggy S-Class with like 300,000 miles on it that they picked up off of Craigslist for 10 grand. Man. All right, Hyundai Accent. Now we've gotten to a car that I would personally consider, this is actually the best car on the list. If I was to genuinely purchase a vehicle off this list, it would be this Hyundai Accent. I'm not even joking about that. You know why that is? They have the best warranty, the best real world fuel economy, and also they are safe. In terms of crash test safety, Hyundai and Kia, they nail it. They're usually on the IIHS like top safety pick awards. They usually nail that. So here we have Car and Driver kind of shitting on it, you know, kind of making fun of it here. But it's a 120 horsepower vehicle with the CVT transmission. Hyundai Kia CVT is genuinely one of the best in the business. Does 0 to 60 in 8.9 seconds. I mean, that's the thing with the cars on this list. I actually really like driving these tin can-ish, very cheap cars because they're so lightweight and so nimble and tossable, and they have all this character, and because they're so powerless, you can kind of step on it and floor it everywhere. You do have to double check yourself before you merge into traffic or you just make a large left-hand turn at an intersection. You really need to, you know, check yourself, triple check yourself before you just pull out. Kia Rio is basically the twin to the Hyundai Accent. Either one, you know, either one of these two cars is what I would consider. The Rio can also be had as a hatchback, but that costs an extra $940 as they stated here. Hyundai Kia's cheap cars aren't complete tin cans. They actually have some level of rigidity to them when you drive them. It has some level of quality. So I genuinely think Hyundai Kia is the best way to go at the lower segment. I have done a review on the Versa. I do like the Versa. It's kind of the classic cheap car that most people think of when they think of under $20,000 cars. This is pretty good, 16 grand. A lot of people say that affordable cars don't exist anymore. Well, here's a list of like 10 freaking cars. So there's no real excuse here. 20, 30 years ago, a new Corolla cost around 14 grand. This is 16 grand even with the crazy inflation. So can't say that there's no more cheap cars. They're clearly here, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Produces 122 horsepower, CVT transmission. It can also be had with the 5-speed manual. I would definitely consider the manual transmission in these cars. However, the biggest problem is the fuel economy does suffer. But I would still get it because it's a little bit more fun to drive, and there's also the safety aspect of it because nobody can really steal a manual transmission car because nobody can drive one these days. I would still stick with the Hyundai and Kia because they have a 10-year warranty. Yeah, keep that in mind. If you are buying a Hyundai Kia product, do your research. Make sure you buy from the absolute best Hyundai Kia dealerships in your local area. Make sure they have glowing reviews. Make sure the atmosphere isn't crappy. Make sure they treat you like a normal human being, and buy from them. And we'll talk about buying a little bit later. We're just kind of going through these cars real quick. Mitsubishi Mirage, this is a complete and absolute turd. Do not buy this. 78 horsepower. The other cars with 120 horsepower pull like shit, so definitely don't get this. What is it, like 13 seconds to hit 60 miles an hour? Wow. I'm surprised this thing can even do 90 miles an hour. 78 horsepower. I feel like one of those kitchen appliances, like a new Ninja blender, has more power than this thing. You have to take into consideration safety as well, but Mitsubishi, outside of this, I actually don't really mind Mitsubishi. They actually have a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, just like Hyundai Kia. I really want to try some new Mitsubishi products. I hope I get the chance to this year. But now we hit the Chevy Spark. This is the cheapest new car possible that you can buy in the United States. I just got done mentioning that Corolla from 30 years ago that cost 14 grand. Well, you can get a new Spark for around that price. 98 horsepower. I still wouldn't consider buying this. I'm just saying this is the cheapest new car. It will be discontinued next year in 2023, so keep that in mind. You know, what is this? Like, what is the purpose of these cars? Well, there's a couple of things. Okay, you're either a cash buyer and you're living the Dave Ramsey life and you're willing to pay cash for any one of these vehicles on this list. Good for you. That's kind of the way to go. If you're buying cars like this, it's best to pay them in cash. If you're financing it, either you have good credit or you have bad credit. If you have good credit, the reason why cars like this are dying out and the reason why less and less people are buying them and why they're stopping in 2023 is because if you have good credit, you kind of step up in car, okay? Your interest rates are low and you can afford to bump up your budget by like 5 grand, and instead of getting a Kia Rio, you can get yourself into a Kia Forte for 20 grand. And this is also a car that gets about 40 mpg and 30 in the city. So Kia Forte and Hyundai Elantra. Hyundai Elantra is my true go-to cheap car. I like the Elantra a little bit more than the Forte. I think it's a little bit more refined and a little bit of a cleaner driving experience. So I really love the Elantra. I'm pretty high on that vehicle. That's my go-to cheap car. But Forte is cool too. I do enjoy the Forte. That's not bad. The Venue was fun, but really no point. It's like subcompact levels of performance at compact level prices. So that's kind of my only problem with the Venue. Otherwise, it had a lot of character. I like the way it looked, both from the outside and in. Plus, it's an SUV. You know, a lot of people want an SUV nowadays. They think a sedan is beneath them. The Kia Soul is a car I really like. That's pretty much on par with like a Forte. It's got some spunk, character, and the space is actually very useful. Kia Soul is cool. The Sentra is probably like the worst compact segment vehicle. Like a Forte and the Elantra is probably better, but the Sentra is pretty affordable and it looks pretty cool. Well, this is a fully loaded model that they're showing here, but you get the idea. And yeah, here they mentioned things like the Honda Fit, the Fiesta, and the Yaris. Those vehicles are no longer being produced. The Yaris was amazing. I love driving that thing. I did a review on it, but they don't make it anymore. And you have things like the Corollas and the Civics, and some guy here said here, I think he was in the comment section, a Civic or Corolla are still cheaper to own than that Sentra by a large margin once you factor in depreciation and repairs. All these cars are like, they cost next to piss. So depreciation isn't really a huge deal with any one of these cars. They don't cost a lot of money, so you don't have to worry about that. And he definitely doesn't take into consideration the warranty. That's what I'm saying. Make sure you go to a reputable Hyundai Kia dealership so you can take full advantage of this 10-year, 100K mile warranty, because you're gonna need that. That's what makes this, enticing to own. If you're looking at this segment, keep this for 10 years. That's how you get the best value out of something like this. So you pay next to nothing. That's the good thing. So I mentioned good credit. Well, what about the people with bad credit? That's the people who end up in the Spark, because they have to rebuild their credit, and this is the cheapest new thing that they can qualify for. Or GM Financial is pretty liberal about who they give their loans out to. So, they hit you with that 25% interest rate, and you end up paying like $400 a month on this. So this $14,000 car becomes $24,000. They snag an extra $10,000 worth of interest out of you, but that's the price you pay for pissing off your credit. The other thing, the people who ask me about like used cars and like the S-Class and all that garbage, if you message me and you're like, oh dude, I've heard like this and this breaks on this car, and dude, what about this? Is this reliable? Like, can I afford this? Like, if you're asking so many questions, you probably can't own a car. I'm not trying to make fun of you. You genuinely can't afford a car. You might really want to consider getting a bus pass. I've said this in the past. I'm probably the only automotive journalist that tells people this, but seriously, $40 a month, get yourself a bus pass until you put down money or pay cash for a good quality new car like this, or at least pay cash for like a $5,000 Corolla or something, because that's kind of the next step from this. I'll do another video on like used cars. Not that there's many good ones out there, but if it's not this, then your other option is like a $5,000 Camry / Corolla, paying cash for something like that. That's kind of the way to go. Just buy the cleanest one that you can for $5 grand. 40 bucks. I think if you're like a teenager, like 18 or under, it's like free to ride the bus, so why not? If you're truly struggling, just do that for a little bit until you can save up enough cash to buy like a quality $5,000 car, or until your credit improves to where you can actually finance something like this at 0%. That's kind of the way to go. The other option, what I personally would do is I wouldn't even look twice at those vehicles that I just showed you. I genuinely wouldn't, mainly because I have no money, but like I have good credit. So I've always been able to lease cars at phenomenal prices. I did partner with this company, AutoCompanion. I mean, I'm just using them as an example right now, but if you want to sign up with them, my little affiliate link thing will be in the description box. But I'm just going to use this as an example, because this is precisely what I would do if I needed a new car today under $20,000. I'm going to come onto this little spreadsheet here that AutoCompanion offers on the Lease Hacker forum. I'm going to scroll down to the Grand Cherokee L, click on the altitude, click on this little calculator link. They sell this brand new Grand Cherokee L at 8.5% off of MSRP. Spec it out black on black, just the way you want it. And I would just do a one-pay lease on this, pay 15 grand and be done with it. So I'm just gonna pay 15 grand, be done with my debt obligation, drive around that brand new Jeep. However, the reason why I can't suggest this to everyone is because this is on a lease. You're capped at 10,000 miles, maybe 15,000 miles tops per year. And it goes up to around $16,000 if you were to do a one-pay lease, which isn't bad. I don't drive a lot, so 10K miles more than enough for me. Also, you probably don't know how leasing works and all this stuff. You have to really look into this. But the other thing is you can also pay cash, or you can finance this vehicle and just take advantage of the 8.5% off. But now when you finance it, you're financing a $44,000 car, and now you're you fit into that statistic of people who bought $40,000 to $47,000 cars last year. I don't want to be that tied into a car. 15 grand, that's a good amount of money. You have to pay that upfront in cash. Otherwise, what are you left with? You're left with like a $462 payment. You can make payments, but I would rather just be done with it and no more debt obligation. The other thing is, people think like with the lease, you have to turn it back into the dealership. Dude, I've leased like a dozen cars in my life. A week after you buying this car, you can just trade into a dealership. At least that's how it was a couple of years ago. Now dealerships and manufacturers have gotten strict on that, and you can't just trade it into CarMax after like 2 months. They might charge you some money, or they might make you turn it into a dealership. So, you know, it's best if you do this, if you actually keep the car for 3 years. That would be ideal. And Jeeps actually have good residual value, so that's that helps. They took the Toyota section out. That's unfortunate, because the Camry Hybrid was the other vehicle for around $15,000-$16,000 on a one-pay lease that you can get. On the luxury side of things, it was the ES Hybrid. That was the one I would really considered, but that's like $25,000. So there's that. And obviously the new Acura MDX, that's the other vehicle that came out to be around like $27,000 if you did a one-pay lease. But MDX, ES300H, these are the two cars I would really consider. Like the MDX A-Spec, they're offering like 2% off MSRP. So that's what I'm saying. If you want to sign up for this stuff, if you want to talk to them, you can sign up with my little link. I'll try to find it here. Yeah, this is the page that you get taken to when you click on my little AutoCompanion link, so you can fill all that stuff out. And you get a little discount on this broker fee, between $25 to $50 off that broker fee when you sign up with my link here. They're located in DC. This is their contact info. You can contact or call or text them, email them, whatever you want. They'll get back to you, no problem. So I'll just leave that below. But anyway, you saw the 10 cheapest cars. That's what you have to work with if you're either paying cash, or if your credit is jacked up, or you're genuinely the type that keeps your car for 10 years. I would get that Hyundai Accent, drive it till the wheels fall off. Definitely keep it for 10 years for the entirety of that warranty. Well, if that's what you needed, that's what you should do. Me personally, I'm gonna pull up in that brand new Jeep Grand Cherokee L black on black. That's what I'm doing. That's mainly because I don't drive a lot. So kind of depends on what your needs are, but those are the cheapest cars. We'll do another video on this. Cars that cost under $30,000, which will range between 20 to 30K. And then we'll kind of move up that ladder, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, all that good stuff. And I'll do some used car videos as well. So thanks again for watching. Take care and goodbye.